ASMONGOLD. Terrible name, ugly looking guy, but is he right? Did he just say the right thing in the wrong way? Getting canceled for this here.
A genocide as a systematic killing of a group of people. They have genocide built into Sharia law right now. So no, I'm not going to cry a fucking river when people who have genocide that's baked into their laws are getting genocided. I don't give a fuck. They're terrible people. These people are not your allies. They are not the same as us. They come from an inferior culture that is horrible. It kills people for their identity, and it is directly antithetical to everything Western values stand for, and it is an inferior culture.
So, one, I don't necessarily disagree with him. I think he worded it in a very aggressive way that I'm like, ooh, it's easy to just make the... You hear that sound? What the hell is that? I'm dying on the inside. But he worded it in such a way that I'm like, all right, you're obviously going to get attacked for this. But liberals obviously have a social hierarchy. The internet in Western civilization has a very blatant hierarchy that if you were to take the exact same scenario and just swap around the people, you would watch their reaction change. So right now, genocide. They don't like it. Israel's the enemy. If you were to replace the Jews with trans people, and that was Israel, an entire nation of trans people, and then make Gaza an entire nation of white men, they would go from calling it genocide to cheering it on. Because that is how their social hierarchy works. It is trans, it's queer people up at the top, women, minority groups, Asians don't exist, and all these insert like some kind of minority doesn't exist, like Pacific Islander and Asian. And I'm like, they're a minority, they're there, Native American, but they don't really exist to them. Then he goes through the enemies list: Jews, white, straight men. So that is the social pyramid of the liberal activists. And I do think that he's just stepping on the toes of that because he's saying truths. One, they do have a culture that is pro-genocide and pro-death. The Islamic culture kills queer people of all kind and believes they're inferior people that deserve to be put to death. You can just type in religious leaders of the Islamic thing. That permeates through the entire region of Gaza and determines it's their entire culture. And just listen to what they think about all the things that liberals like. Queers, death. Women don't have rights. Muslim and all these Arab cultures, they don't believe in human rights. When Christians are offended at, the idea of two men getting married, it's nowhere near to the extreme of believing that they deserve to be put to death. Yet, it is treated worse than those who believe it should be put to death. Because, and I think Christians are all believed to be white, even though there's Hispanic and black Christians and all colors of rainbow Christians. I think the majority of Christians in the world are brown, they're Hispanic, but they don't treat them the same way. Women have no rights in Arab cultures, and yet, when if a Christian says, "Oh, I want a trad wife," doesn't get treated the same way. That is worse than Arab nations. Now, I do not like religion whatsoever, but when it comes to this, I'm merely pointing out the hypocrisy of the double standard. So, ASMONGOLD, I think he pointed out the hypocrisy right there. I think he did point out the hypocrisy, but he basically stated, this is an entire group of people that's constantly advocating for death. They are the ones who created the terrorists. And that went over, everyone forgets that they started it. And he's not going to shed a tear for what's happening because they are an entire deaf culture. They're a pro-deaf culture. I think it's sad that innocent kids are getting killed, but at the same time, those kids are going to grow to be very uninnocent adults. It is a terrible situation overall, but it is a situation that, when it comes to the entirety of the Middle East, it has to do with all their bullshit ways of thinking, terrible ways of thinking, violent ways of thinking, violent ways of being, and all the Arab culture is entirely just toxic. The Israeli culture is too, but as far as over there, Israel is the California of the Middle East. So, yeah, ASMONGOLD, I don't think he should be canceled for this, but I understand people getting upset because he worded it in a very strong, direct way that I think I was like, you should have toned it down a little bit. So, those are my thoughts. Comment yours. Comment section down below.